What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday we did have that Nintendo Direct Mini that actually had quite a few game announcements in there. In fact, many people online are looking at this as the best Direct Mini that's ever released, and we'll go over all of those announcements here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Atlus, as they did have a presence in that Direct Mini, but has me wondering now more than ever around the future of the Persona series. And we'll also be talking about Halo Infinite and the latest struggles for the game that, really has me now questioning 343 and how they're handling the entire Halo Infinite situation. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you're subscribed down below. And we're gonna start today with Xbox Live Games with Gold for the month of July. These are games that Microsoft will add to their Xbox Live Gold service each month, and hasn't been the best run for a while for these games with gold selections, but let's see what they have for us with July, starting with Beasts of Maravilla Island. That's available July 1st to the 31st. Then we have Relicta. That's available July 16th to August 15th. Thrillville Off the Rails. That's available July 1st to the 15th. And then Torchlight. It's available July 16th to the 31st. Yeah, nothing too good, nothing jumping off the page here to me. They even advertise as having the 3,200 points in gamer score that you can add there. The fact that they have to advertise that is pretty telling. I'm looking at this. I'm not really familiar with like Relicta or anything. Torchlight from the Xbox 360, maybe the best game on this list. Certainly Microsoft is focusing on Game Pass more than games with gold. I am curious how when they string out games with gold, and eventually I'm sure they'll end it and just completely focus on Game Pass, but there you have it. If you have games with gold, might as well add these to your library as they become available. Also, we did have a new gameplay overview trailer released for Gotham Knights, introducing Robin, which we can see this here, along with a description saying Robin believes Gotham City needs a hero, is going to make sure it has one. The fight won't be the same without his mentor, but that's up to Tim to figure out. Robin's got to believe in himself if he's going to prove he has what it takes, and there are some concerns around this game right now. It's a very mixed reaction as they show more of it, and I can kind of see where people are coming from with this one, because as we had that extended look with like Red Hood and we had Nightwing, there were parts that were alarming, like the inventory system that looked like they were leaning into kind of what we had with Avengers with the loot system and all of that. And my biggest concern around this is that it's not a great single player experience, and you're basically going to be doing multiplayer throughout, and that it feels very samey. That's something I had an issue with Avengers, is like with this game, Gotham Knights, are we just going to be going from rooftop to rooftop, eventually going in the dungeons, and you're just beating up the same bad guys over and over again? Because the story itself at least sounds compelling from what we've seen so far, with Batman being wiped out before we even start the game, the Court of Owls being involved. But if it really is just that same experience over and over and over again, I'm hoping they have some variety involved here when it comes to the gameplay, but I guess we'll find out as we get closer to its release later this year. This is certainly going to be a game I am going to be checking out the reviews for. Oh, and we will be talking about Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope during the Direct Mini overview, but we have an extended showcase to look forward to today. They have this page set up already on YouTube, which I'll link down below in the sources. Say tune in for the Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope showcase tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Learn more about the unique and epic tactical gameplay and uncover a few surprises. So hey, I'm really looking forward to this game from what we've seen so far, and then obviously I'll be checking out this showcase, talking a bit more about this one tomorrow in Newswave, but make sure you check this out. That's later on today. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with this Nintendo Direct Mini. There is a lot to go over here. There are a few games that I've broken off into separate sections from the Direct Mini itself, because I want to talk a little bit more about those games. But let's start from the top here with Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the expansion coming out tomorrow, June 30th. I feel like we've seen this a lot, so most people who are already gonna be picking it up are sold on it, but they wanted to kick it off there with, I guess, one big push for advertising just ahead of launch. Then we had Nier Automata, the End of Your Edition. This is a game that was basically leaked out a bit early. It will include all DLC and even original costumes for this version in particular. I saw that it's priced at $40, which, hey, at least it's not a full-priced Switch port years and years after release. It's coming out October 6th. Then we had Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. It's a puzzle adventure game coming out in 2023. Super Bomberman R2. It's a sequel to a Switch launch game, that being Super Bomberman R. I remember playing that at one of the Switch events that they had set up with a bunch of couches and sit down and play Bomberman or Disgaea, or waited in line forever to play Breath of the Wild. But either way, it's cool to see a sequel to Super Bomberman R. You're able to create and share stages online. That coming out 2023. One of the big announcements for me anyway, as a Mega Man fan, was certainly the Battle Network Legacy Collection. Mega Man fans have been asking about this for a while because we're seeing the collections that Capcom's doing, and we're like, hey, Battle Network, awesome series in the Game Boy Advance. Let's throw it into collection, move it up to current platforms, and they are indeed doing that. 10 different Battle Network games will be available. They're also going to have a gallery with over 1,000 illustrations and even a music mode with over 150 songs, 2 different digital SKUs, or you can buy it physically. They'll package both of those SKUs together as one physical copy. Still have questions about the Switch version because we have seen Capcom do it where they include one of them on a cartridge and there's a download code for the other part. So I'm hoping they just put everything on the cartridge itself. That coming out next year, 2023. So awesome announcement there from Capcom. Then we had one out of left field. Pac-Man World Repack. This is a remake of Pac-Man World from the PS1 in 1999. I did not go into this Direct Mini expecting this, but hey, it was kind of cool to see it. I'll check it out, if nothing else, for the nostalgia of it. I remember playing this game at a friend's house way back in the day, and then they had other Pac-Man worlds on things like the GameCube and PlayStation 2 and all of that. But that's coming out August 26th. We had Blanc. This is an emotional text-free adventure where a fawn and wolf cub work together to find their way home. Of local and online co-op, that coming out February 2023. We had a look at Return to Monkey Island. This was announced early this year, but I'm sure Monkey Island fans are really excited to see this game in action, gameplay, and all of this coming out later this year. Then we had the announcement that Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope would be releasing October 20th. This leaked out ahead of time thanks to Ubisoft and their website, but they did show off some gameplay of the combat along with Bowser having his debut. It was pretty cool to see it overall. It looks certainly like them just kind of taking Kingdom Battle and building off of that, which is exactly what I would expect here. So very curious to see more about this game later on today in that extended showcase. Then we had one of the shadow drops from this show, that being Little Noah, Scion of Paradise. It's a roguelite with multi-layer dungeons that change every time. Then we have Railgrade, where it looks like you take different railroad systems and line them up so that everything is able to flow correctly. That's releasing this fall. RPG Time, The Legend of Wright. This was a very unique looking title. Hand-drawn adventure game that takes place in a 200+ page notebook. You draw, erase, and even use your calculator to solve puzzles. That's out August 18th. We had Disney Dreamlight Valley. It's a life simulation game with Disney characters that releases in early access September 6th. So we'll see how that one turns out. Live Alive, there's a demo available right now, letting you start with 3 different stories, and your save data will carry over. Remember, this game is out in a little over 3 weeks, that being July 22nd. I'm already fully prepared to pick this game up, but good to know that I can start this game a bit early with that demo, and it continues the trend that Square has been doing with a lot of their games, where you can get a demo early and you can transfer your save data over. I really like what they're doing with that, and I hope they continue to do that going forward with other releases. We had Doraemon, Story of Seasons, the farming game, and it's an IP that people are already familiar with. I am not, but there you go, it's coming out this year. Minecraft Legends, that coming out next year. We saw that at the Xbox Showcase. Dragon Quest Treasures. This is a Dragon Quest spin-off title where you team up with different monsters to hunt down treasure. It's coming out December 9th. Portal Companion Collection. That's Portal 1 and 2 being bundled together. Portal 2 has local and online co-op, and it's out right now. I did see some early feedback and reception to this after it came out, and people said, hey, it's a very good port of the game. And at $20, if you have not played Portal 1 or 2, I think it's a good pickup. Then we had a sizzle reel, Captain Velvet Meteor, that's coming out July 28th. No Man's Sky, we already knew about this one, but coming out October 7th. Plague's Tale Requiem Cloud version, October 18th. And one final push there for Fire Emblem Three Hopes. Again, that's out now. Harvestella. This is an interesting one because it's from Square Enix. Appears to be their answer to Rune Factory. It's a life simulation RPG. They showed off some dungeon crawling stuff, these big anime-inspired moments, but then you're also doing things like farming. It's coming out November 4th. Now, there were a few announcements I left out of there that we're about to get to in some of the following segments, but overall, I would say this was a very good Nintendo Direct Mini partnered showcase. I know people were going in with lowered expectations because it wasn't the big general Direct, but I thought there were some pretty good announcements here. Certainly some things to look forward to this year and then going into next year. Probably my favorite announcement, yes, was that Battle Network collection. I will be all over that game next year when it releases, but I mean, for 2022, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope looks great, and I'll be looking forward to that extended showcase later on today. But I did ask everyone what they thought of this showcase by putting a grade on it for the poll, so we'll see more about that later on in the show. Next up, let's talk about Sonic Frontiers. It was part of that Direct Mini, but I am blown away by Sega right now. Specifically, how poor the advertising and marketing has been around this game, because they did the IGN first with this and it just looked very boring. And then we get this 1.5-minute long trailer. You can see some of it here during this Direct Mini, and the game looks way better. I'm not saying it looks incredible or anything, but it just looks better than what we've seen so far. And like some of the gameplay they showed off, still that open zone that Sega has been attempting to describe to us. It still showed off the combat that we've been kind of questioning here and there, deflecting attacks, talked about skills that you build up. But then they showed something called cyberspace. This is something that leaked out apparently during like the summer game events stuff that they were doing, where people were getting off-screen footage of it. But these are the special zones that are closer to the more linear paths from the older 3D Sonic games. It appears like you get keys at the end of each cyberspace zone, I assume for progression in the big like open zone area. And I'm just, like I said, I'm impressed that Sega has done this kind of a job showing off Sonic Frontiers, considering it's like this big thing that they're trying to do for Sonic right now is more or less make a 3D Sonic game that feels current. I guess going into like the Breath of the Wild moment for Sonic, obviously that's what the initial trailer was trying to get at, but like you feel like they would have done a better job of showcasing it. And on one hand, it gives me hope that the game is better than what's been initially shown to us. So yeah, maybe it will be better than Sonic Forces, although I don't think it could be much worse than Sonic Forces, especially with the reviews and stuff for that game. So it's supposed to be coming out this holiday, that being Sonic Frontiers. I'm looking forward to seeing what this game ends up being and if Sega is able to do a bit better going towards its release date, which we still don't know about. Maybe that's another trailer being lined up here in the future for us, or they'll just drop it on Twitter and then head towards the holiday release. Next up, let's talk about Atlus and Persona, because yes, all three of the Persona games that were announced during that Xbox showcase are indeed heading to the Nintendo Switch. We have the entire trailer for it, as well as some additional information that was released on Atlus's website around these titles. Persona 5 Royal, that is coming October 21st. We also found out previously for the Xbox version, as well as here the Switch version and even the PS5, they're going to have all the DLC that will come with it. And it also looks like it will have a physical copy. If you take a look at kind of the split where they have the specs page showing the three different versions, there are asterisks next to the Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable, but not next to Persona 5 Royal for the Switch, designating it as a physical release, so we'll keep an eye out for that one. But Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable will be, they said, coming soon, but we know with the Xbox and all that, it's coming out next year in 2023, so I am anticipating that same kind of release schedule here for Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable, as Persona 5 Royal has lined up pretty well overall with that October 21st release. And this entire thing, it's been a long time coming. Ever since we saw Atlus and Sega move Persona 4 Golden to PC and Steam, and it did really well there, and they seemed surprised. I think right there, we had the light bulb went off in their head, and they're like, wow, we can make money from Persona, and hey, shout out to them, they're actually doing it, right? Like, I've made fun of Atlus and Sega around this whole thing, but now Persona is basically everywhere. Persona 5, Persona 3 Portable, and Persona 4 Golden, so at least they're attempting to make this push. We'll see how it does for them. I assume, yes, they got a decent check for Game Pass, and that it probably will also do well in terms of sales for the Switch, considering people have been asking for this for years. I mean, really, when Joker got announced for Smash, which was, wow, is that almost 4 years ago now? That's when everyone was like, okay, yeah, Persona 5 is coming to Switch, right? Like, it's gonna happen someday. And here we are now in 2022 with that indeed happening later on this year. But the thing that I'm really curious about now, what does this mean for Persona 6? Because for a while, people have thought that there was some sort of deal between Sony and Atlus to just keep Persona on PlayStation. That's it. It's a PlayStation game because money is changing hands from Sony to Atlus and Sega in order to develop the title. Well, it doesn't seem to be the case right now, unless that was just a timed exclusive thing. But it does kind of line up with them realizing that Persona 4 Golden did well on Steam, and it does take, I mean, it can take years to port some of this stuff over and get it just right, especially on something like the Switch with the Tegra chipset, not something that would line up better with what the PS4 and even PS5 have. So that's where I'm curious now. Persona 6, clearly that's coming. They're not just going to end it at Persona 5. Will that be revealed with a bunch of logos at the bottom? Like, oh, it's also coming to the PlayStation, it's coming to the Switch, coming to Xbox, coming to PC. Or is that going to be another situation where, no, it's just on PlayStation 5, maybe PS4, since they did Persona 5 on the PS3 still, and maybe on PC? Or is Atlus just done with the idea of it being on one platform? They're just dropping it everywhere they can to give Persona its best chance as being a 10 million, we'll say, unit seller. I guess we'll find out more about that here pretty soon. I think they're still doing their Persona celebration, by the way, and people have thought that Persona 6 would be a way to cap everything off. So, hey, maybe they make that announcement either at the end of this year or heading into 2023. We'll see. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Halo Infinite, which, I mean, it's been a struggle all the way around for this game, from the moment they revealed the gameplay to it eventually coming out to, I mean, just these long runs of no real content being released. Well, now we're starting to see some issues, some cracks in the armor around the strongest part about the game, that being the gameplay itself, which for the most part people have been happy with. It's just been like these droughts of content releases, which is something you need. Frequent releases of content for these free-to-play games, especially when you're trying to compete alongside of Fortnite or Apex Legends. Well, we could see this posted up over on the Halo subreddit, saying melee and or player collision is still incredibly broken. Here's a pair of examples from the past week that made me rethink playing this game. And there are a lot of examples of this being posted up on Twitter and on Reddit. Basically, there is desync for melee at times in the game where you believe you're behind the person, but the game thinks you're somewhere else. You go to punch, it tries to register. Oh wait, no, you're over there. You teleport, disorients you completely, and then you might just get wiped out there, which is extremely frustrating during any serious competitive match where, I mean, the score's close, and yeah, that one kill may have turned the tides of the game. So the fact that we are talking about a game that's competitive, it's skill-based, and you have something that game-breaking being involved, you expect 343 to come in and get that thing sorted out immediately. Well, 343 Tax, who is a 343 employee, responded to a thread around this. This is what they said. The TLDR of it is the devs that would work on these fixes have been allocated to other Infinite work. Their work has had some knock-on benefit to our UCN solution, especially around movers, players, vehicles, etc., on objective devices, elevators, pistons, bridges, etc., but not around the melee and around the wall shots. These devs are coming home to Sandbox soon, hopefully. So this is pretty frustrating, as the whole Halo Infinite situation has been, again, since it came out. It really feels like there is just an issue when it comes to management at 343 all the way around. Something like melee desync, which again can really damage your experience with the game to the point where people are just questioning if they should just keep playing the game anyway. The fact that you still have people at least playing Halo Infinite despite them struggling to put any sizable update out there. I mean, we're still waiting for campaign co-op. We're still waiting for Forge. Like, there's so much stuff that we've had at launch of these Halo games previously, like Halo 3, that just aren't there, right? Now we're talking about the core gameplay itself being broken, and 343 just kind of like, oh, we know it's there. We just don't have the resources or developers to fix it. Very concerning right now with Halo and 343 and how Microsoft even is handling this from their end as they're, of course, managing these different studios. So I've been concerned about Halo Infinite for a while now, and I was hoping they'd get back on track with Season 3 releasing later on this year, but when we have Melee Desync and people are like, I don't even know if I want to keep playing this game, yeah, you have a real problem then. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, give the Nintendo Direct Mini a grade. And the majority was B at 45%. That's kind of where I would fall in line too. I guess you could give it an A. I mean, that got 17%. If you just take direct minis into account. If you're not taking like general directs or anything else, indie showcases, yeah, an A is probably warranted for this one. A C at 22%, 6% said D, and 10% said F. It is a little strange to see 10% of people vote for F. I'm be surprised if there was an A game in there that you could look at and say, oh, it looks kind of cool. I'd look forward to that one. Unless you went into it thinking, I gotta see a big first-party Zelda game, or they gotta date Bayonetta, or I don't know, F-Zero getting revived. Overall, for what my expectations were, I thought this was a pretty good presentation. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Keith saying, so what I'm hearing is Metroid Prime 4 is a long time out still. Well, they rebooted development. That was early 2019. I think it was January they made that announcement. So if we get to January 2023, that'll be 4 years since they rebooted development. And I was kind of thinking it would be a 4 to 5 year development cycle for Retro Studios with Metroid Prime 4, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Nintendo wants to announce it immediately when it's done, right? Like we know Nintendo holds on to some projects, but I do kind of take the Metroid Prime remaster being prepared maybe for later this year as a way for Nintendo to get people like kind of ready or hyped up for Metroid Prime 4, potentially launching in 2023. At least that's kind of how I'm reading the situation here. Also, I'm crossing my fingers as a Metroid fan, a Metroid Prime fan, that I get to play it sooner rather than later. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was the Nintendo Direct Mini. What was your favorite announcement? What did you think of the presentation overall? And also, Persona, now it's just going to all platforms. Do you think Persona 6 is going to release as a big multi-platform release? And then Halo Infinite, we're starting to see some issues now pop up with the gameplay. Are you someone who's still playing it, and are you having some concerns around 343 and the Halo Infinite development going forward? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.